Hi, B1 community. Just wanted to post this video on because it's something that's popped up on my feed. I hadn't seen this advert that kind of sparked this thought process. And I don't know if you have either. So before I start explaining what I'm talking about with the theme of, technology, are we letting it control us? Are we letting it take over? Or are we using it as effectively as we can? So I'll share my screen. So what we should see, and if I make that a little bit bigger, this is the latest Apple advert. And usually I love Apple adverts. I think they're absolutely incredible. But like this kind of makes me a little bit sad because if you actually look at it as the metaphor of what it's doing, there's loads of different items in here, from space invaders to computers to paint to pianos, different musical instruments. It's kind of representing, the old traditional formats of doing things, and it is literally crushing everything. It is literally crushing everything. And the reason that makes me kind of sad and made me kind of think, how far are we letting technology go? Um, are we using it as effectively as we could? Yes, it's great visuals here from Apple. They are able to signify, they've got the smallest, new, thinnest iPad ever, and it's more powerful, etc., etc. But as much as it's powerful, do we want it to replace absolutely everything? Is technology going to take over from us? It is a power for good, don't get me wrong. It helps us do so many things. Communication, for example, being able to jump on and to record a video to share it into a community where we can all talk about our mindset. Um, but on the flip side as well, how far do we want to go? I know that I am guilty as anyone. When I'm trying to learn about something new, I get inspired. I go and watch loads of videos about stuff, and if I'm not careful, I'll just keep watching. I'll just keep consuming, because ultimately that is what it's there to do. Technology is great for us to take notes on the fly. We've got a phone with us all the time, but we do have our technology with us all the time for the most part. um, I remember I went on holiday last year, and we went to a lovely little place in Cornwall, um, but it had no internet service. And actually, that was a bit of a blessing in disguise, because we did actually switch off. And at night, when we got back to the place, we shared a meal together, we talked, we enjoyed the memories of the day, we planned what we were going to do the next day. Yes, there were some limitations and some issues there, like when we wanted to check how far somewhere was to go, to travel to, I had to walk up like a big hill to get some phone signal to download a map, and things like that. Um, but for the most part, kind of, we trained ourselves not to then need technology in the evenings, and we have slipped back into that zone, still using tech quite a lot. But something that I've been trying to do is trying to reduce the the impact, or reduce having technology being such a big influence on me. When I'm in work now, I often leave my phone across the other side of the room with notifications off. Um, you can set your technology up to work for you. You can put, I know on my particular phone, I've got working hours, so I won't be sent notifications during those hours. I'm gonna have to actually actively go and get it. You can set bedtimes and sleep times and little nudges and reminders to do things, which is fantastic. But all I'm trying to say here is that technology is wonderful. It is a force for good. It's helped us do so many amazing things, but we shouldn't let it take over. I think AI, as it's described now, it is amazing, some of the things it can do. Absolutely amazing. But what's the point of having tiny little bits of information, a tiny little task, like, removed from us? Um, like, if you're trying to learn something, for example, like, I work with a training provider, and one of the conversations we had was like ChatGPT. Oh my gosh, like writing assignments, it's an absolute nightmare for checking whether this is authentic work. But we're lucky. Well, I was lucky to be working in a training provider, and they, um, it kind of came out that okay, it can help somebody to write something, but it's not going to give them that deep knowledge. Um, and that's where we have assessments and things like that. So, um, not to go into too much of work mode here, but just thinking about how technology can help, it's amazing, it's incredible. There's so much out there for us to access. Um, but it's just a small reminder about not letting it take over, and it's something that I've been trying to do a bit more actively. And I would encourage you to do the same, like especially before bed. I sleep a hell of a lot better having not looked at a screen for at least a half an hour before I go and rest my head on my pillow. So maybe if it's sleep that is an issue for you, maybe that's a good idea. In the mornings, I try not to look at my phone straight away. I leave my phone again the other side of the room so like I can wake up properly instead of getting sucked laser focus back into the technology that effectively, that's what it's designed to do. There's some clever people behind these things. The other thing I started to do was I started to learn French because I thought, oh, I want to learn a language. I was talking to some of my family members who are doing the same, um, and they were talking about how much they'd learned and everything. So I downloaded Duolingo. Started to learn French. I started to learn a couple of words. Not got a trip to France planned. It was just kind of a, oh, that's interesting. I'll give that a go. And it was useful and it was good to a point, but equally, it was set up for me to become addicted to it. It was giving me nudges to say, oh, if you don't do so many hours of this French, then you're going to drop down the league, or or keep your streak going, that kind of thing. It's all set up for us to keep coming back, and in the nicest possible way. I didn't learn too much French. I know a few more phrases, or like a few more phrases from my school days have come back, and I could grasp those a bit better. Like I can say, the train station is La Gare, for example. However, if I actually went to France, would I be able to hold a proper conversation with a French person? No, it's going to become from that experience, that authentic being there in person and doing it and practicing it properly, rather than learning random fruit names and train stations and how is your father and stuff like that. Um, so the intention's great. I think technology is fantastic. It has got so much capability. It's just us thinking about how we're going to put that into action, how we're going to implement it, how we're going to use it for a force for good in our lives. Would love to hear what you think. Um, and if you've got any tips, tricks, and advice to share with us, we would be welcoming those to see if we can implement them ourselves. Anyway, hope you're having beautiful fun in that sun. Look at how glorious that sun is outside. Make sure you get out there today if you can, guys. Um, don't forget sunscreen, as Baz Luhrmann would say in his classic song. But otherwise, good to catch up, and I'll speak to you soon.